Okay, so encountering tenants who fail to pay rent on time is definitely an unfortunate situation, but it's inevitably something that every landlord will probably deal with at some point in time. It's one of the things we hear from owners who come to us that are really their biggest fears: the tenant destroying the property and also the tenant not paying rent. So what do you do when the tenant doesn't pay rent? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi there, my name is Sue Richey. I am a real estate broker. I'm also the owner of Richey Property Management here in Northern Virginia. And you know what? When tenants don't pay rent, it's really important that you know what you're doing and that you know the process, you know the laws in your jurisdiction, and that you follow them carefully and promptly so that you do things right, so that you can get the outcome that you want. Okay, so today I'm going to go over 3 things that you should be aware of that are part of the process if your tenant doesn't pay rent. First is providing a non-payment notice. Then you're going to get into the pay or quit notice, and then potentially legal action. So if you take all the proper steps in the right order as you go through this process, you can remain calm. You're working within the details of your lease and the laws. You should be able to get the outcome that you want and get possession back of your property and really just protect your property in general. So let's get to it. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to send a notice of non-payment to your tenant. This is really the first kind of obvious step. If they haven't paid the rent, first thing you're going to do is make sure that your records are accurate. Did the rent come in? Maybe you didn't notice it. Maybe you thought it came in one way. Maybe it came in another way. Make sure that you're accurate in the amount that they owe and that they actually haven't paid. And now, if you're sure that that's the case, then what you want to do is you want to send a letter to the tenant, a notice saying, you haven't paid the rent, and here's what's going to happen. Okay, so this notice would include the exact amount that they owe, any late fees, any additional penalties, and you also want to remind them that there will be potentially future consequences if the rent continues to be unpaid. Eviction, for example. Okay, so let's go on to the next step, number 2, which would be to provide your tenant with a pay or quit notice. In Virginia, we provide a 5-day pay or quit notice. That essentially says to the tenant, you have 5 days to either pay this rent or you need to vacate the property. Now, you can send this right off the bat when they don't pay, but it's a good idea to send a notice initially, quickly, and just say, hey, what's going on? See what you need to do. Maybe there's a situation that you can work out with the tenant. But if you've tried that and they haven't responded, they haven't tried to work out any arrangements with you, then you can provide this 5-day pay or quit. Now, when you send this 5-day pay or quit, make sure that you document everything that you're doing and that you have all of that backup in case you do end up going to court. Now, in Virginia, there are a couple of ways to provide this 5-day pay or quit. You can send it by certified mail, but then you're going to wait for that the receipt back. You can also send it with a sheriff, which is what we do in our office when we have to send a 5-day pay or quit. You will provide the sheriff's office with a couple of copies of this notice, and they will post it and then provide you back with confirmation that it was posted. There's a lot more around that, so whatever your jurisdiction is, check that out and see if that's an option for you and what exactly you need to do in order to make that happen. But that's the easiest way and most clear cut, and it gives us a lot of documentation that this has been done and done the right way. Third step would be really taking legal action. So if the tenant really still remains uncompliant, they don't respond to you, they don't try to do anything, they ignore your pay or quit, you may have to move on to step number 3, and that is taking legal action. So what does this mean? You may need to get the help of an attorney because now you may be going down the road of potentially having to evict this tenant. Now, eviction laws vary by jurisdiction, so make sure you know what you're doing if you're going to do it yourself. If you do end up hiring an attorney who specializes in eviction, they can help you with the notices. They can help you with the whole process. They can represent you in court if you go to court. They can really handle all of that, and they're very knowledgeable about what they're doing. So it can make the process maybe move along a bit faster. You can get possession back of your property sooner, and so on. Okay, if you're in Virginia, the process looks a little bit like this. You're going to file for a summons for unlawful detainer. That basically means, hey, the tenant is staying here. As long as you provided the proper notice, then the landlord will issue a summons to the tenant. They have to appear in court. They're going to ask them if they deny or accept the allegations that were in the summons, and then it could go into a trial. From the trial, if the landlord wins, then the landlord can then apply for a writ of possession, and then there's the eviction process. So all of that, there's a lot more to it than that I'm going to go into in this video. But if you are interested and you are in Virginia, I have a guide to eviction in Virginia. You can just download it. It's in the notes below. Take a look at it, and if we can help you in any way through this process, or if you have questions about what to do if your tenant doesn't pay rent, feel free to contact us. I know that that's just such a stressful situation, and often tenants will just ignore phone calls or emails and just drag this process out. And some tenants are a little bit smart and they play the game of paying a little bit. It keeps them in the property, and it pushes this whole process out. That can get extremely stressful. That may be a time when you want to get the help of an attorney or someone really knowledgeable who can help you, because getting a bad tenant, an unpaying tenant out of your property so that you can regain control, fix it up, and get a good paying tenant in there, that's what you want. And don't let them play games. Just work through the process, make sure you do it right, and it will go faster and smoother, and you will get the outcome that you want, which is to get them out and get back on track. So I hope this was helpful. Again, reach out to us if we can help you in any way. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.